Thank you for joining us on platform for this week. And this week we have a special guest, an academician of repute, and somebody who is also a leader in her own right. My name is Yakubu Chadi, and we're welcome to this program. So, Ma, we always ask that our guests introduce themselves.
Thank you very much. My name is Patricia Lar. I am a professor of microbiology, medical microbiology. I first went for secondary school in Girls High School, Gindri. I got a BSc in microbiology at the Ahmadu Bello University. Then my PhD, my MSc, I obtained it at the College of Medicine at the University of Lagos. I have been teaching all my life at the University of Jos for the past 32 years. I worked through the ranks. From a graduate assistant, I became a full professor. In the course of my life endeavor, I have been involved with a lot of students, BSc, MSc, and PhD. And I have also been involved with many women groups in the church and also in the civil society, doing a lot of other supporting, promoting education and human resource development.
That's quite interesting. Science is one area that people claim, or people say most females are not there. And what influenced your choice?
I really can't say. My ambition as a young woman was to become a medical doctor. Way back in Gindri Girls High School, where I did my GCE, we had good science laboratory for biology and chemistry, and we used to do practicals. I thank God that I went to Girls High School, Gindri, and we used to do physics with the boys. My teacher, Mr. Nyango, my physics teacher, Mr. Nyango, took an interest in me, and up till today, he still shows interest and praise with me. He was a brilliant teacher, and he helped me. I loved physics. I think I was one of the few girls then who did physics together with the boys at the boys' secondary school. So that background gave me the ambition. And then my family, my father was an inspiration to me. I remember hearing him say, this one will go to school for me, that he will go to Wezate University for me, and that re-inspires me all the time.
Does it mean females were not given that opportunity when she said, this one, you were special?
I think I was doing well. I was a young girl, and I remember way back in Riom. My primary school was mostly in Riom. I was the local school board, okay. Riom, and I think I used to come first or second or third. And my father thought I was a brilliant girl, and he told his friend, and I heard in the car. He said, this one, that's a German University, which meant that he saw something in me.
And today you're in the university. You didn't just go to the university. I became a professor. You are now a professor. I
was in the US. I went for a postdoctoral program in Baltimore at the Maryland University. And by that time, my father already died, and I missed him. I used to say, oh, Baba would have been happy to hear me tell him about America. You know, he likes to hear me tell him stories about what I was doing. And he would have been so, so happy knowing that this young woman has gone up to be able to be in America because of the research that time she was doing.
Do you find fulfillment now? Your dream was medicine, and now
yes.
You are a microbiologist. Do you find fulfillment in what you're doing now?
You won't believe this. Because of my microbiology, I now started my career in medical microbiology, where I was teaching medical students. So it turned out that I had a dream. I aimed as a young woman, but circumstances back in ABU's area didn't allow me to make it to read medicine. It was the cutoff point, which I didn't meet at that time. My mentors then advised me to go in for microbiology, and that's how I met Professor Nemfo Gonwork, who became my teacher, a leader. He became Vice Chancellor of Unijust and was such an encouragement to me to read microbiology. So I aimed high, but I read microbiology, and it's one of the major courses in pathology in the course of medical training. And so I was a teacher and instructor during my early days as a graduate assistant and assistant lecturer at the medical faculty of medicine in University of Jos.
That's quite interesting. And looking at the journey through the academics, I also know within the university you've held positions.
Yes.
One of those I fondly remember was when you were heading Carnegie.
Yes.
So even though my contact is still Carnegie, because of that.
Yes.
So how is it with leadership within the university? This coincides with the theme for International Women's Day, that women in leadership and future and the future in COVID-19.
Yes.
Equality in the future of COVID-19.
Yes, equality in the future of COVID-19. As we all know, equality has to do with a level playing ground for both women and men. At the University of Jos, there is a gender policy, and the gender policy is aimed at making the ground level for both males and females. And the Carnegie grant was given because University of Jos had a strategic plan, and in it aimed at making both men and women to be equally represented. So UniJos had a lofty ambition with a policy at that time, a policy that was later approved by Council in 2006. And so when Carnegie gave us about 2.5 million to work towards capacity building for UniJos in gender equity, in research management, in ICT, and engaging students through partnership with students. It was so many things in one. And the opportunity I had, the VC trusted me, and I'm grateful I was given that opportunity to be the project director for that grant. And it meant that almost every sector in the university experienced some reawakening, because the grant was an institutional capacity enhancing grant. That meant that every sector needed to be ICT compliant, needed to become gender sensitive and gender aware. And so I worked with various teams in the university towards achieving the goals of the
looking back about this gender inclusion, and looking back from the work you've done within the university and the larger society, which is Africa particularly is male dominated.
Yes.
How is this? How far has this taken us as Nigerians and Africans in terms of gender equality and balance?
Believe me, the world is more gender aware than it was before, including Africa. And so some of the activities we did, we also gave scholarship to female students, particularly those that were indigent, towards strengthening their capacity to be retained to complete their programs, so that the top will be populated. And I see Africa coming up. There were, through the Carnegie Grant, other awards that I won to go and learn the capacity to aim to be a leader in higher education. That is what you call the Higher Education Resource Academy. And it's a selection of women with unique capabilities. And I was selected through the Carnegie leadership. And also the International Women Foundation. It is an opportunity to populate more women, and women from Africa and all over the world would be selected. About 22 will go to different, including Harvard, to build capacity, to be trained to enhance their ability to be leaders. Given that there is general underrepresentation, the statistics, even in our national statistic records, shows that in civil service, in leadership at the parliament, in almost every area and endeavor in our country, there is underrepresentation. There's still an imbalance. You only have
what
a
are
balance.
The gaps that needs to be filled?
These gaps that need to be filled require the affirmative action to raise women in leadership, to allow more women to be in the leadership position. Look at the balance. You have only
is it a concession, or is it to allow, when you say that, should it be on a platter of gold, or should women also struggle to attain that with the excellence they have?
There are two things. If you're trying to fill a gap, that's why there's the 35% affirmative action. It means that there's a pool of women who, because of certain environmental factors, there's timidity, there's lack of economic power. You have a lot of women who are there, but they don't have the courage because there's societal intimidation. Some of it is religious, cultural, and so women dare not step. They are afraid to be given bad names, so they dare not step forward. To encourage that, you say 35% affirmative action. So it's accepting that there are women with capacities, but they are not capable or they are intimidated to come up. So you create that towards filling that gap. By the time women begin to be 45% and 50%, you know that competition is now.
But even for the 35, there's still much work to be done.
There's still much. Yakubu, that's the truth. There's still a lot of work to do because you still see it even in governmental commitments. The percentages are not good. They're about 14, 15. We're not even up to 20%. It's only one state in Nigeria where now you have, like in the cabinet in Kwara State, the governor allowed close to, more than 65% women in his cabinet.
Too, in the management.
I like that. Yes, I love that.
Yes.
I love that about PRTV. That is very true.
When we go for meetings, they know the females are outnumber us.
That's right. That's right. And even in my discipline in microbiology, I'm beginning to see more women in the senior category than the men. So there's some improvement, but there's still work to do. The women need to recognize the need to be there. They need to be, you see, we need to encourage and do more mentoring of women into higher positions. We're beginning to have more PhDs, like in higher education. You're beginning to have more women do PhDs, even in the sciences. That's why government has committed to a 40% enrollment for admissions for sciences in almost all of our universities.
What do we do with women who are also in leadership in their own rights at community level without formal education?
Yes.
But you could see wonderful things being done by women at different levels.
All these
but
women
the
are
recognition, it's not so much given to them because they don't have Western education, and which is by every inch of imagination not the best yardstick to measure that women are doing well and can be leaders.
No, I like what you're saying because affirmative action is not only about the educated. It should run through the sectors of society. So you find some emirs or chiefs are now recognizing that and creating room for women in their cabinets, even at the local levels. Now, leadership should recognize this at all state, federal, and at the local levels, and encourage women, recognize women. There are women without formal education who are more powerful leaders than educated women. They need to be recognized and given room. I'm seeing that with women in Rion. There are rural communities where NGOs such as Women for Women International is training women at the grassroots, empowering them with knowledge. Or when these women communicate in Hausa about the issues of peace, about the issues of inheritance and land, you will know that there's power in the woman.
Yeah, I read some snippets about you presented a paper, and I said, look, we need to have a conversation.
Okay.
What was the thrust of that paper you presented at the celebration?
Okay, it was an inspiration to women to rise up beyond from where they are and go after their dreams. I celebrated the woman on the plateau, and we have so many women on the plateau. They are in all sectors now. We have so many professors. We have a vice chancellor who has just completed her tenure, Professor Angela Miri. We have ambassadors such as Professor Mrs. Mary Lar. We have very few parliamentarians. That is the Professor Dadut now, and the Honorable Benila, who is a 4-time member of Parliament, the National Assembly, representing Lantern North and South. Now, these women, we have many in the banking sector, in the federal and state civil service. Yesterday, there was Mrs. Dongjur and some other females who were sworn in as permanent secretaries by His Excellency, and he should be commended for. I love the mix. I love what you can see efforts promoting women. Dr. Nancy Gundimu was one of those that was sworn in the Revenue Council of Plateau State recently. It's recognizing women and giving them room about opportunity for them to make impact in various endeavors. Now, these women should be celebrated in their various levels. We should honor them and then see them as role models. I talked about the first ladies who have held forth with their husbands, and we've not had adverse reports like Mrs. Regina Lalong and many, even Mrs. Jang. Then we have the role model that we have, Pauline Talen. She started as a counselor at the local government and rose through the ranks. Stories about these women is worthy of emulation, and that's why I challenge the women in the next, for the next 60 years. I looked at the 60 years, first before independence and after independence, and we said, those women that we are celebrating now, they were girls in their days. And a lot of them, it wasn't easy. The missionaries created opportunities for women to be trained. And so we, on the plateau, are privileged to have women who went to school. And so there's a core of women with capacities in diverse areas. Now the next generation has no excuse. They can excel and do better than us. Like, I became professor after several years. Those women don't have to be professors after this kind of time. With me, I have lessons to teach them so that they will be better. And that was the basis of my lecture.
You can also be celebrated at the level where you are, in what you are doing, not necessarily academic.
That is right, because I am of age. I've come of age, and have trained PhDs. I'm proud some of my PhD students are those that are giving information almost every week on television about the coronavirus, about the vaccines. Some of them are my students. So I think I've produced value and added value to the growth of Nigeria.
Yes, as we commemorate this day, we also look at the fact that underrepresentation is still an issue.
Yes.
We are looking forward to subsequent elections and also opportunities in other sectors. It's not just all about politics that people need to talk about.
No.
The private sector is there, engagements at different levels. The things that are being done, it's what we want to know. The focus, what should be the focus in trying to energize and trigger the energy in women?
They need to, one of it is this celebration, acknowledging them, recognizing them, and creating room for them. Protecting women, ensuring that they are safe from societal violence, intimidation. You will notice that during the pandemic, there has been increased incidences of sexual violence, domestic violence against the female gender. That women need to be protected against. That will assure them. The other one is creating more opportunities for economic empowerment. You know, that's one of the things that are hindrances to women being able to come up and give and contribute their quota to development of society.
Is it the economic empowerment or the management of resources? If you see the informal sector, most of the women in the markets, are dominating in the informal sector, in the market space,
right,
doing business.
Yes.
Is it also economic management of resources? Because you can see a woman may be selling tomatoes by the roadside. You'd be surprised that she has a house. Yes.
Women are powerful. That I agree with you. I agree with you. But you would if you measure the percentage of the woman that has capacity that can build house, that commensurate with the population of ground is not very significant. So that means what? Across level, you have the urban woman, the urban businesswoman, the rural woman. How about the rural woman? And this is where there's work. If we want a society that is equitable, that ensures access to the natural resources, the economic power given to us, then we need to take care of that woman, so that there will be balance, there will be growth and improvement across.
But that's
society.
Not given on the platter of gold.
It's not. Yes, it's hard work. Recognizing what women do at the rural area. There are lots of widows. That the sectarian issue challenges that we experience over the years has created a pool of poor women, widows, single parents. They are in the rural areas, and the poverty level is still very high. So that has to be improved on for the future, because when women are strengthened, their children, their children will be greater. So when we're preparing them so that the next generation will be even better than what we have now, and our society will be better.
The future begins now.
Yes.
And 2023, the bell is ringing.
I like that.
we have Plateau, I could say 3. I stand to be corrected.
Okay.
1 at the National Assembly, 1 at the State House of Assembly, 2 at the National Assembly, the Green Chamber and the Red Chamber. Are we likely going to see a shift in also taking your position to say, look, we are here and we need to be counted? Yeah,
there will be more women. We should have at least 5 in the National Assembly, both Senate and
from Plateau.
From Plateau. That's my own prediction. We should have more, at least 10 in the House of Assembly, and then there will be more uncountable number of councillors.
Is that not a tall order?
Women, it's a tall order, but it is achievable.
Okay.
And the women are determined. Women at various levels are now coming together, mobilizing. Well, not to compete with men, but to make the point. Beijing has 25 plus has come to be, and Nigeria has no excuse compared with Rwanda, where you have 65% of women in their parliament. Why should Nigeria be behind? I think it's not. We shouldn't pay lip service.
There's a lot of work to be done here.
But the women are determined to come up.
Much more work here.
Yes, I agree with you, Yakubu. It's a lot of work. Now the parties, it's a challenge to our parties, our structures. They have to be committed. If people were committed to affirmative action, that will, in leadership particularly, there's commitment. Then party chairmen, chiefs, senior chiefs across they will work to advocate that we should allow this commitment to be tangible, to see the people, not beat the women.
Well, it's been interesting speaking with you, but I always remember the saying that educate a woman, educate a nation. So what would you advise at this level that, yes, to fast track the process? Because we are behind. We can't be talking that we need to, if you said it's 60-year timeline, you could also be saying you can also move as a snail.
Look, every woman should build her capacity, especially those that have capacity. And I'm saying we have a pool of women. Technology is now at your hand. Go and use it. Create, train yourself, arm yourself. Learn. You can use YouTube now to learn almost every skill. We should build ourselves up and then be part of what is going on. register with any party that is of choice in your area. Be part of the environment. Volunteer and be part of what is going on and be known. Don't be afraid to be known. That's my advice. Don't be afraid to be known.
Don't be afraid to be known. And also you need to build your capacity. There's no free lunch in Freetown anymore. No. So nobody's going to give anything on a platter of gold. But when you come with your capacity equipped, then you can be partners in the progress. It's been my pleasure speaking with you, Professor Patricia Lar.
Thank you.
I don't always want to say I'm Gosa because they think we're doing our thing.
We're in Red House. I was in Red House. The best. The Red House was the best.
At your time. At our time, it was a different ballgame. That's the much we can take on this week's edition of the program. It's interesting whenever we have females on this program, and we do hope more females will avail themselves for conversation here. I remain yours sincerely, Akubutadi. See you next week with another interesting guest.